Hello, OWL members. Welcome to our latest installment of our new Inside the OWL Studio video program. As a reminder, Inside the OWL Studio will highlight one of OWL's partner sponsors and their organization's specific activities and initiatives around diversity, inclusion, and belonging. The format of the program will be similar to a program called Inside the Actors Studio with James Lipton. At the conclusion of the interview, I will ask the same 4 questions of our interviewees. I am thrilled to announce this month's Inside the OWL Studio will feature Novartis. We've been fortunate to have Novartis as a partner company for the past couple of years, and Novartis has also contributed to representation on our OWL Board of Directors. I'm excited to announce this month's interview will be with Laura Pinkett, Executive Director, New Products and Portfolio Planning, U.S. Ophthalmics, Novartis. Hello, Laura, and thank you for being here and welcome to Inside the OWL Studio.
Hello, Abby. I am absolutely excited to be here with you.
Oh, thank you so much. And Laura, as you know, the OWL mission of advancing diversity and leadership is the driving force behind all activities that the OWL organization develops. Part of any organizational growth is to learn from others. And today, I'm especially excited to hear from you on not only Novartis's initiatives, but also any insights or takeaways you may personally have to impart for our membership. So on that note, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Well, I again want to say I'm definitely excited to be here inside the OWL studio. I'm excited to represent U.S. Ophthalmics and obviously represent Novartis as a whole. As an organization, especially when it comes to our associates, we are continuously looking for opportunities to empower them to drive change and to drive that change with integrity and with an obsession towards our internal as well as our external stakeholders. And towards that end, I would say one thing in particular that is a critical and notable pillar for Novartis is our diversity and inclusion efforts. I think even thinking of OWL and looking at having that diversity and leadership, this is just something of note that I am really proud to cite on behalf of Novartis.
That's wonderful. Laura, within the Novartis organization, can you highlight maybe a couple of activities or initiatives that you feel Novartis is utilizing to really drive that diversity inclusion narrative throughout the organization?
Yeah, I mean, I think we can look at many organizations and know that things such as the employee resource groups exist. Those are typically those forums by which people who are of like minds, similar backgrounds can come together. They can learn from one another. They can feed off of one another. They can reflect. The thing that I would say that Novartis is doing and doing quite well, in my opinion, is really going above and beyond as far as extending the reach beyond those groups. So it's really giving the opportunity for people who do not necessarily have those same experiences to have an opportunity to be exposed. I think from a D&I perspective, what's really been resonating with the associates are the creation of these forums by which there can be open and honest dialogue. And in these open and honest dialogues, as I mentioned earlier, it's not, people who have like minds talking to themselves, but really creating that diverse forum where people can be curious, where people can learn more. And we're seeing this throughout the organization across therapeutic areas such as U.S. Ophthalmics. And I think that's key, like really creating that forum where there's psychological safety and people can, be comfortable and asking questions and learning more.
I think that is such an amazing and important part of this entire equation is that safety and reaching, we talk about diversity and inclusion, but reaching the belonging stage where that safety factor comes in and you actually do feel like you belong and have a safe space. So it's wonderful to hear that. Let me ask you, do you have, as these initiatives kind of move forward in the Novartis organization, have you had any employee feedback, specific examples of employees coming to you or specific conversations that have happened that, will give us a little bit more insight or, hope that change is happening?
Yeah, I mean, I think the one thing that's really a cultural pillar at Novartis is this speak up culture. And so I definitely have had associates come to me at certain points in time. Obviously, over the past year, we've had a lot of experiences highlighted within society, and to be able to see where people felt very comfortable. And I think part of the onus is on me in creating that level of approachability, right? But people feeling comfortable and asking the questions. There was someone in particular I know who really wanted to take it upon himself. He wasn't a member in any formal D&I council, but wanted to create a forum by which people can talk, where they can just have that open and honest dialogue. And he did come to me and ask my opinion, and I was very supportive of him in that effort. And so I think when it comes to diversity and inclusion, a key component of that is approachability, right? Making people feel that they can be safe, that they can ask questions. Everyone is on their own journey as they're, exploring what it means as far as diversity and inclusion, and how it takes form. And it can take form in many manners, in many respects. And I think just creating that level of approachability as we grow in this space is critical.
And I just love approachability in so many ways. But I'm going to circle back quickly. At the beginning, you mentioned integrity. And I think that is just such a wonderful word. And maybe if you could expand upon that just a little bit in terms of the Novartis organization and how that word integrity comes into play.
Yeah, I mean, to me, integrity, that level of authenticity goes hand in hand. And we also have, I know you're going to hear all of these catchphrases tied to Novartis, but there are values and behaviors, and this is how we're growing as an organization, being unbossed and people feeling like they can bring their true selves to the table. And that's where integrity really comes to life, not feeling like you have to say something because you believe that's what should be said, but more so saying something and putting your thoughts on the table because you believe that is the right thing to do, whether it's the right thing to do, from a patient perspective, from a customer perspective, from an organizational perspective, or, if you've just seen something and it just seems as though there should be a different or better way of managing it, making sure that you speak with your true self. And I will say that even for people who are on my team, I really do encourage them to bring their own personal best all day, every day, because we need that level of integrity. We need that level of authenticity in order to have that culture that I've spoken about earlier, for us to truly be, unbossed for our internal and external stakeholders, for us to truly be curious. We can't be shy. We don't want to hold back from asking questions because we think that we should already know the answers. Let's just bring our true self because it's going to benefit everyone in the end.
I love that. And I think that's a really good way to kind of end this. I want to say authenticity, integrity, and being well-intentioned, I think are so important. But really, it sounds like, if I could maybe paraphrase a bit, Novartis is walking the talk.
Yes,
and I think that's key. So if there's any last words or any other takeaways you'd like to impart, that would be wonderful.
And once again, Abby, it's been an absolute pleasure being with you here today. It's funny, I'm sitting in my home office right now, and I'm looking at this little quote that I have on my wall, and just the spirit of what we've talked about as far as, operating in your true self and walking the talk. There's this quote that really resonates with me, and I've often tried to find the words to put in, the environment that I'm trying to set for my team and even for myself. And it reads, I don't know who to attribute this to, but it reads, when you operate in your gift, you don't have to be at the head of the table, for wherever you sit or stand, the table will shift. And so I would just want to close with that, because I feel like it gives a sense of empowerment, the sense of unbossed that we really look to live into at Novartis, that we're evolving into, that we're growing into. And so I would just leave that with you this afternoon.
I love that. And I'm going to have you email me that after this. So on that note, I'm going to get into these very important questions. So Laura, what is your favorite word in ophthalmology?
Oh, wow. I would have to say my favorite word would be vision. And I think it's because it has both like a functional and an aspirational intent. So I would say vision.
Wonderful. Now, what is your least favorite word?
Well, as I sit here with my readers to make sure that I can see things, I would have to say presbyopia. It's
Totally
one of
agree
my
with you.
favorite words. It's a struggle. It's a sign of aging, but you know, I've embraced it, and I no longer have to hold things like this. So I would say presbyopia.
I love it, and I'm with you on that. So what other professional role besides the one you have currently would you like to attempt, and why?
Well, it's interesting when you say besides the one that I have currently, because I actually just stepped into the role that I'm sitting in currently. Prior to the role that you introduced me having, I was the consumer marketing director for Xiidra. And great opportunity to relaunch a brand under the Novartis name. But now I'm in a role that I am very excited about, and that would be the one to respond to your question, because in new products and portfolio planning, I have the opportunity to move a bit more upstream and to help shape the clinical trials with a mindset of how do we best set these assets up for commercial success. And so instead of just flexing that marketing muscle later in the kind of game, I'm able to flex more of that marketing muscle while things are being shaped, while things are being designed. And so I'm really, really excited about growing into this role.
That's wonderful. And congratulations on your new role, by the way.
Thank you.
Next question. What role in ophthalmology would you not want to attempt, and why?
I can't say that I have one just yet that I would not want to attempt. You know, careers are a journey, right? Sometimes you don't know what you're getting into until you get into it. And I think for me, I always maintain that open mind. If it's an opportunity that I feel that I can give something to, and I have the opportunity to gain something from, I'm open to it. So at this point in time, I can't think of anything that I would necessarily shy away from.
And that's fair, very fair. Last question, or second to last question. If you could do any one specific thing to contribute to diverse leadership within the ophthalmic community, what would it be?
That's a good question. You know, for me, and I think it might be because I'm growing in this mindset, I'm really going to have the opportunity to spend more time in how clinical trials are designed. And I feel like if there's anything more that I can do, it would be twofold. One is obviously bringing that strategic marketing leadership more so in the earlier phases, but then also being mindful of the representation during clinical trials from a diversity perspective. But I look at diversity and inclusion very, very broadly, as you probably can pick up from some of my comments. It's not always in the traditional sense. I also look at diversity and inclusion when it comes to competencies as far as work is concerned, and making sure that we have that diversity of competencies around the table as we're looking to build and we're looking to grow as an organization, because a lot of times there could be this fixed mindset as to who should be decisioning this, who should be shaping this. And often we're closing ourselves off from the opportunity to put someone into an opportunity that you may not typically think should be in that seat. But I think it's a great way to show learning agility, to be able to bring that diversity of thought to the table. And so for me, I look at D&I very, very broadly, again, not in the traditional sense, but also in the sense when it comes to the competencies and just being able to have different minds decisioning a lot of great opportunities for the organization.
I love that. And I think having that kind of broader, bigger picture view is going to be very important, particularly in any organization. But I love to hear that. And so I'm going to go into the very last surprise question for you. If you were an emoji, what emoji would you be and why?
Oh, wow. If I were an emoji, I think I would be the laughing emoji. I think that there is an opportunity to bring levity into essentially a lot of what we do. I don't think we should take ourselves too seriously. I think there's a time and a place, and I think it's healthy. It's healthy to be able to inject laughter into your day. And so for me, I come with very strategic thinking, but I also balance it with that level of levity. So I'll say a laughing emoji.
Fantastic. I love that. And Laura, thank you again so much for your time today. And thank you to Novartis for the partnership and the support you have shown, Al. It's essential for us to keep building and leading and hopefully really forwarding diversity within our industry. So thank you very much. And it's been a pleasure to talk.
Same here. Thank you so much.